out of the car and just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. I remember one thing, every time I look back, I just never thought of death. Like, I didn't like the medicine. I did not want to take the medicine at all. But I never really thought of me dying. Like, now you can sit there and you think, okay, well, you think of dying. But then just the thought never occurred to me. I mean, sometimes when I really felt, really bad, I never thought I could die. I mean, I don't think I could have took that on top of everything. I think if I started thinking about dying, I don't think my spirit could have, just the whole wanting to wake up in the morning, I don't think it could have worked. But I never thought about dying. And even when I would lose my hair and I would feel the very worst pain in the world, I was like, okay, well, a couple months later, I'll be fine, no big worry. And I love the picture, I can't remember where I seen it, but I seen it somewhere, and it's like God holding the lamb in his arms. And I always thought that was like me, just with minus the fur. He gave me fur, but at the time, minus the fur. But I always liked that image of God holding you even when you're not able to stand on your own 4 feet. And I know it was hard on my parents. I know it was really hard on my brother because most of their attention was on me. But we all made it through as a family, and God made me a stronger person for it. But I remember when I started 7th grade, I was at seminary at the time, kind of bounced around, and I went to a small private school, and I didn't have no hair. I remember the first day out there, I was in the gym, and they was bouncing a basketball, and when it hit me, it knocked my cap off, and I'm talking about I was chicken egg bald. I had no eyebrows, no eyelashes, just bald. And it's just, in my mind, everything got quiet. I don't know how it was in real life, but in my mind it was just hush. And little boys would be like, boys don't wear skirts, and boys don't go in the girls' bathroom. And I was just like, okay. But because I wasn't a boy. And people in Walmart would tap my back, sir. And I'm like, okay. And I remember one time, we just let them believe it. My mom told me, just let them believe it. It makes them feel bad if you tell them, no, I'm not a guy. So, yeah, mothers, woo! But we was on a train in Dollywood. It was like my little mini birthday gift was going to Dollywood. And me and my brother, and it was very cold, so we was completely wrapped. I had 4 toboggans on, a big Gilligan Island hat, and we was all covered up in hoodies and everything imaginable for warmth. And me and my brother was in the front seat, and we're laughing and picking and joking at each other. And the lady sitting beside my mom was like, well, how old are your 2 sons? Mom was like, ma'am. And the boy's up there. At this point, me and my brother. And Mom was like, oh, well, one's 12, and one's 14. We just never tell them. Mom was like, oh, it make her feel bad. So we just wouldn't want to tell her, which is fine with me. I didn't want to go through the whole explanation of why I was chicken egg bald. But I always remembered I never would talk. I was just always so quiet, and I just wanted to be in the corner all by myself. And I had hardly no social abilities whatsoever. But I remember that one day, my friend's dad taught me to go and give him a testimony at his church. And I was just like, okay. So I got up there, I started talking, and I met this lady, and she was sick, like me, except I was a little bit over it. And she told me that how she loved the courage to say it, and how I always said that God was my strength, because I couldn't have done it. I cannot tell you how many times I told myself, oh my goodness. But God is the one who helped me, because it was just rough. I had 16 rounds of chemotherapy, week after week after week after week. And like I said, I just did not want to get out of the car. That was my thing. I just did not want to get out of the car. With all the stuff it made me feel, I lost feeling in my fingers and my feet and my taste, everything. I like ice cream as the texture. So there you go, Brother Joey. Ice cream is bomb. But anything that had a yucky texture, I was like, no, thank you. But I started just so many things that just made me so much different than everybody. And I was always like, oh my goodness, I'm so different. Oh, they got all this hair, and they complain about it because, one side's poopier than the other. And I'm like, bald. And I just like, how do they think like that, you know? How do they complain about it when, you know, I sit here and I just wish that I could just have just a little bit of what they had. But then I got to the spot in my life and I started thinking, it's okay to be different. Like, I like it because God made me who I am. Like, I don't ever think, I'm not bitter toward anything. Of course, in the hospital, they're awesome people, but they're humans just like us. Doctors doesn't heal, God heals. They're an instrument of God. So, doctors are great, but God is the one who heals, and God is the one who holds you there, or when you're in the hospital, and you just don't think, oh, you know, I'm going to get through this, because they have IVs hooked to your feet, and you're daydreaming about pink elephants on skateboards. That did happen. I don't know what was wrong with me. And you know, and I'm sitting, and you know, you're in bed, and you have all your family around you, and they're all crying, and you're like, what are you crying for? Because nobody will tell you anything, and it's just, you get, and you're like, I mean, what's the point of this? But God holds you. He's like that little lamb, you know, He carries you. And I got to where now I like it because of it all. I got to go to camp, and it's what the American Cancer Society puts on, and you get to meet all these amazing kids that are just like you. But the thing about camp is that everybody understands. Like, you don't say, hey, little boy, and it's a girl. I mean, because it's just like, oh, been there, done that, I'll help you. And all these kids, they're so shy, they're so quiet. But then you just get to meet one and you slowly drag them out of their shell, and you get to meet that maybe this kid likes music, and maybe this kid over here wants to be an NBA star. But you don't know it because they don't tell you it. They just sit in the corner and they watch everybody else. And I just can't handle that. I'm like, no, come on, let's go swing. Which, that's another bad thing, if you don't tell their counselors that you have the kid, because they will find him, and you will get in trouble. I made the mistake once. He's going to go look at the ducks, and they come pick us up in a golf cart. But I always tell them, like all the kids, that they're not different. Like, they are different, but it's a good difference. Like, everybody understands. I can understand them when they don't eat their food, or when they're in a wheelchair, or when they just cannot make it up the stairs. Yeah, I understand. I'm like, well, it's okay. I've been there. Because you are weak. And some days you sit there and you're like, the pink medicine. Why the pink medicine? Which helps with pneumonia. I didn't know that until afterwards everything. But you understand their place. But other people don't. And it aggravated me so bad is that I would see them outside of camp, and they would just be back to their quiet self, and they'll see all the other kids play, and they just won't. And I'm like, no, that's not how you live life. You don't sit on the sidelines of life. Because God gave you this amazing, amazing life. But we take it for granted every single day. Like my hair. It was never this curly. It was kind of, I don't know. My mama says it was like an ocean wave to give you this image. It's just boom, like this big dip in the middle of nowhere, and it was wild. Nothing like this. But it came back curly, and I'm trying to find Caleb Butler. Caleb Butler times 2. Like, but yeah, my hair's like Caleb's. Yeah. But I took it all for granted. Like, I took sports really badly for granted. Because I would play basketball and I'm like, oh my goodness, where's Mama and the Powerade? That's all I cared about. Sit inside and drinking my Powerade. But now looking back, I was like, oh my goodness, I should have ran up that court, faster. I should have hit that ball harder. But, we just take life way too, I guess I could say, for granted or seriously. I mean, sometimes people really do take life really, 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 really seriously, but nobody makes it out alive, And so my big thing is just to live it. Because, I don't know, I always say, like, at camp, you get to meet all these kids, And some are really bad off the human, some die. And I know